Hey gamers, time to gather around the campfire and play Caveman. Let's review Stone Age. Check it out. Now before we start in this review, I'm actually going to show you the expansion as well with the base game. In the base game, you're going to have this player board right here, and the only thing that's changing is you're laying this little tile over this section here. So the huts will actually go over here. Instead of 4 stacks of 7, you're going to have 5 stacks of 7 over to the side of the game. And they do that because, of course, you're going to have a 5th extra player in the game as well. Now, the only thing that changes here is the little trade marker here. You'll get a little cube for your trade token. It'll go down there. And the food market here will stay the same. It just overlays it, and you'll still put one there. You'll also have a bigger cube that will go on the 0 to track your points in the game as you go around and round on the board. First time you go around, you'll get a $100 token, and then, of course, a $200 token, victory point token, when you pass it a second time. And believe me, you definitely will in this game. There's lots of points to be gotten. There's also a first player marker that will go to the first player and then be passed around the board, so everyone will get a chance to go first. And in the expansion, you also have the new color black. The other colors are red, green, yellow, and blue. So it also comes with a cup made of leather, which smells a little bit of funky, but you know what, it's kind of cool. And then, of course, you get these cool wooden dice because, of course, we're caveman, and wooden dice just seems right. Now, what you're going to do for setup, on top of everything else I said, you could put some items in the area. As you see, I put maybe one of each item just to show you. It's kind of what we do. It seems to be a lot easier than I keep the bags over the side, and that way we can just pull from the area instead of decluttering your board. And it really helps out a lot if you set it up that way. And then also you're going to put down these cards here and put an additional card right here, which I will talk about shortly. So how every game starts is each player will start with 5 cavemen, and they have the ability to make more. You can have up to a tribe of 10, and you're also going to start with 12 food. Now, food comes in a lot of denominations, 2 and 10 and 5 and 1, as you see here. So you can just get change if you need, if you don't need 10, you can get change for it whenever you feed your tribe, which comes at the end of every round. I'll get to that. So on your round, what you're going to do, players are going to be taking turns placing their cavemen to any one of the areas on the board. Now, I'm going to start with each one and tell you about them all. The first one would be ones in the village. Now, this is very limited. These huts here are very limited to the amount of players. The guide will tell you how many people can be in the village during one round. Usually it's just 2, so that means 2 of these places will not be available. But if you have more players, they'll make exceptions and let more people come into the village. So in the village, there's lots of things you can do. First off, you can go to the trade market here and you have to put 2 of your little cavemen there. And when you do that, you go up 1 in trade. Now, what trade does for you in this game is when you're gathering resources and if you need some different ones to build huts, then what you can do, if you have a 2-to-1 trade ratio, you can trade 2 of any resource for another resource. Now, the first time you do it, you're not allowed to trade, but after that, you may trade 2 for 1 because, as you see, it's still 2 for 1 if it's 1 through 3. Then you would go 4 through 8 would actually be 1 for 1 trades. You can straight up trade 1 item for another. And then the best one would be 9 and 10, which can give you 2 bits of trade for 1 other item. So 1 item gets you 2 items back. So that's really nice as well. So going up the trade really helps. And I'll tell you why you'd want to go all the way up it as well, because those can add up to bonus points in the game depending on what cards you get. Other things you can do is you can go over here and you can farm a little bit, learn some farming, and you'll go up 1, 2, 3, up to 10. Every time you go in there, you'll move up 1. Now, this is very important because, like I said, you're going to have to be feeding your tribe every round, and that can get expensive. Instead of going hunting all the time, if you do farming, it can kind of ease up some of that pain from having to always send cavemen out here to hunt and, collect food. Now another one is, I call it the love hut. You put two people here, a man and a girl cave woman, and if you don't understand what I mean, I'll tell you when you're older. And then suddenly, a new tribe member appears. He calls you mama, daddy. You don't say anything because what happens in the love hut stays in the love hut, but that would give you an additional player in the game for the next round. So that's how you can grow your tribe. The last one that's in the village is over here, and what it does is it gives you actually a number 1 tool. Now these tools can get upgraded to a number 1 to a number 2, or from a number 2 to a number 3, and from a number 3 to a number 4. And what you're going to do is when you get one of these, you're going to place it on your table like here. You see you have up to 3 tools you can have. And what a tool does is it will add points to the die. So let's say I rolled a 2 and I really needed a 3. Well, what I do is I tap it, we turn it to the side in our games, and that would make this 2 a 3. Now if I had a level 2 tool, of course I could make this 2 into a 4, and so on and so forth. So that's what tools are for, and you can gather up to 3 at a time or upgrade them as well when you're in that spot. Other things you can do is you can look for resources. One of the most important ones is looking for food, and as many caveman meeples as you want can fit on this space. The other ones are limited to 6 spaces each. So for instance, if I want to look for wood, brick, stone, or gold, I can only search enough as there are spaces for it. So let's say I put 4 here and a green player came through and he put 3 there. Red and blue, they're out of luck. And yellow, they're out of luck. They can't go there because those spaces are full. So if the spaces are full, they can't go to that area and search for those items. But there is no limit over here. You can put as many people as you want to search for food and bones. Now bones are in the expansion. This would be a 1+ bone. This would be a 3+ bone. And I'll tell you what you would spend bones and trinkets on in the game later on. Now of course, like I said, you can go to any one of these other areas and try to collect some other items that you need. And how that works is however many cavemen that you send out to gather those supplies, that's how many dice you're going to be throwing into this cup and rolling. So for instance, let's say I put 2 cavemen right here for wood. Now I'm going to roll 2 die, and on your player board it actually tells you how much you need to get in order to gather those. So for instance, for every 2 points I roll on my die, I can gather 1 food. 3 points for wood, 4 points for brick, 5 for stone, and 6 for gold, of course. So I roll both my die here. That was a great roll. There's an 11. So what would that be for food? Well, for food, that would be 5 food. I don't get anything for my extra one because I didn't have it. Now, if I had a tool, I could basically tap it, make it 12, and I could gather 6 food or bone if I wanted to, or a mixture of both. Now, taking this same 11 over here to the wood, as you see, it counts in 3s. So if I had 12, I could get 4 wood, but as it stands right now, I can only get 3. If I move that 11, let's say I was looking for brick, of course, it'd be 4 for every 4, and that's only 2 brick. If it was 12, I would have 3 brick. So you see how this is working? Stone for every 5, so I gather 2 stone, and I could only gather 1 gold because gold is a 6. And of course, if I had a tool, I could tap that for another 6 and gather another gold. But that's kind of how it works when you're gathering these resources. Now, why would you want to gather all these resources? Well, if you look over here, you have huts you can get. And these huts require certain items for you to purchase them. So like this one requires gold, stone, and a bone. If you think you will have those items by the end of the round, what you can do while you're placing people around the board, you can actually place one on that hut, claiming it. Like this is the one you're going to build. Now you better be sure you get those resources, because if you fail to gather those resources, then of course you cannot build that hut, and basically you just wasted a caveman meeple. How sad. Now, if you do build these huts, they do come with rewards. Some of them are instant, like for instance, the one I just grabbed would give me 5 gold. Or if I got this one, it would give me a face down car. This would come in handy later on in the game. or victory. All of them are going to give you victory points depending on that. That's what the little wood token means. It'll give me X amount of victory points, and this one gives me 2 wood. So based off their difficulty, they would give you certain items. These are some special ones here. You see here, if I build a brick and gold, I get this hut, and I would roll the die, and whatever it came up with, that's how many victory points I would get. This one, depending on what resources I use, I would add up the number of those resources right here on my board, and then put that all together, and those would be my victory points. So there's a lot of different ways to score victory points. Once you build a hut, you're going to put it right here on your player board, and as you can see, you can build up to 5 huts in the game. That's how you're going to get a lot of big points in the game, but that's not all of them. Because another thing you can do is try to claim one of these cards. So for instance, let's say I put my caveman here. Now what these little emblems mean is I have to pay X amount of resources to get or claim that card. So for the first one, I have to put down either a wood, brick, stone, or gold, and I get that card. On this one, I have to put 2 resources, 3, 4, and on this one, it's 3 bone, and then it says plus 3 bone. If you can actually put down 6 bone, not only will you get this card, but you'll also be able to take the top card off the deck as well. Now, these cards don't give you instant victory points. Usually, this one does. As you see at the top, it gives you your instant reward. This one gives you 3, but most times these are for in-game scoring. Now what I mean by that is if you see the ones with just the picture at the bottom, if they just have just a regular item picture at the bottom, those are for collectibles. On your board here, the bigger the set that you have of each different item, the more points you'll get. So for instance, if I got both of these, 2 would get me 4 points at the end of the game. If I could collect all 8, I would have 64 points. Are you kidding me? 64 points, I would be able to go around this track by then. Other things can give you high scores in it. So for instance, let's take this one. This one says this multiplied by this. What it means is you're going to take these cards, however many of these, and there's several of these with this symbol in the deck. The more you have, you will multiply these times the number that you have shown on all your tools. So let's say I had a 1 and a 3 tool. That's 4 points there if I had this one card. But if I had 2 of these cards, this would be 8 points. 3 of these cards, this would be 12 points, and so on and so forth. And by the way, the little emblem on this one, the instant reward, you would just roll 1 die and you would gather the reward, whatever it was. But anyway, there's lots of things. This is for tools. This is for, how many spaces you're up on the trade track, which is why if you're gathering a bunch of these items, you definitely want to be as high as you can on the trade track, because that would be big points at the end. This one is for how many huts you have. There's another one for how much, grain you have stored up. So the cards are usually used for in-game scoring. There's a lot of nice instant rewards on them, but mainly you're doing them to score big points at the end of the game. Even if you didn't score the biggest huts, if you have the better cards, you can basically sweep this game. So if I purchase one of these cards, let's say I purchase this one. Well, in that case, all of these would shuffle down and a new one would be placed up here. And of course, if anyone took other cards, you'd move them down and shift them like so. Now at the end of the round, a few things are going to happen. First off, as you're cashing in all of your cavemen and bringing them back home, you are now going to have to feed them. And you're going to feed them with these tokens. And each caveman that you have costs 1 food token to feed. So if I have 5, I have to pay 5 food. Now you're always going to be paying food every round unless you're growing this. Like if I had grown my crops up to 5 and I only had 5 people, I wouldn't be paying 5 food because I already have 5 crop coming in. And there is a way to make crops too. Make food. Man, if you're at a 7 and I'm at a 5, I'm going to get, 2 bonus food every round, which would be nice, especially if I wanted to grow my tribe. But you're going to have to feed your tribe. Now, what happens if you can't feed your tribe? Well, a few things happen. For every member that you can't feed, you have to give them another item, meaning you have to give them 1 wood, 1 gold, 1 brick, 1 stone. And you would have to give out as many as cavemen that still needed to be fed. Now, if you don't even have that, then what you do, you're going to lose 10 victory points on the tracker, and that way it feeds all your people. That's a worst case scenario, and I've never seen that happen before, but you definitely don't want to get into that situation. How the game ends is in 2 ways. One, either we run out of one of these 5 stacks of huts, or all the cards are put out on the table and there's not enough to cover up all the spaces here. At that point, that signals the end of the game. Everyone adds up all of their in-game points, which would be the ones listed here, and then the one with the most points is the winner. Final thoughts. What do I think about this game? Well, I've heard a lot about this game, and I always wanted to try it out. I heard it was a great gateway game. Now, I have plenty of gateway games for my friends, I think, but I say, well, this is a caveman game, and I don't have any caveman games. Ooh. And so I went ahead and bought it. I got a great deal with all the expansions on it, and we actually didn't get to play it in time. It didn't come in time, and so we went to BGG Con and we played it there. And like I said, I'd never played it before, and so I was worried. I said, did I make a good investment? Because the game's out of print now. It costs a whole lot. So just to skip to the end here, I can't recommend it because it's not in print. Once it goes back into print, get it. I think it's a great game. We loved playing this game. The leather cup is kind of cool. The wooden dice. It's basically just resource gathering, you know, worker placement game. But it is super fun. We were laughing the whole way. There's a lot of strategies here. Get huts. Man, the bigger, the better the huts, the farther you'll go in the game. But of course, if you can get a lot of those cards, you may win even though you may not have that many huts as someone else. It is just kind of wild, but that's what every good game it should be, right? A good balance of decisions, and that's what this game is about decisions. Do you want to be good in trade? You definitely want to get your crops going so you won't have to feed or send so many cavemen out to hunt for food. Food becomes necessary, so necessary at the beginning of the game, and then later on in the game you may have had it worked out where your farming is pretty good and you're very self-sustainable, but food is always there. It's always something you need. I love that aspect of the game. I love how it looks. I love the pieces. I love how you can block someone. There may be times where I know someone's already played on a card. Well, I know they don't have that resource. I'm going to go ahead and block out the rest of the spots on that resource so they can't get that hut. That kind of stuff gets played. You find yourself, you know, you can only place in one area per turn. So you can almost guess what the other player's doing, and if they tip their hand too early, you may be in there to throw a monkey wrench in their plans and really screw them up. I love that about the game, and I love Stone Age. I do highly recommend it when it goes back into print, which hopefully will be soon. All they have is a kiddie version called My First Stone Age, and that does not appeal to me. But hopefully it will get a reprint soon, and if so, gamers, you should get it. All right, folks, that's all the time I have for now. Until next time, game on!